friends. Today I want to make a sweater for a 2-year-old. So I've drawn out the pattern here that I'm going to be following. It's a sort of make on my regular pullover pattern. So I'm going to be doing the same shapes, but I've adjusted those shapes to the size of a 2-year-old. So we're going to be starting with a 12-inch rectangle for the body pieces. We're going to be coming in for the armpit shaping, coming up to the shoulders and doing a neck shaping. We'll do that for the front and the back. And then the sleeve is going to be starting at 8 inches and then tapering up to 10 inches. But I'm going to talk you through all of it, so don't worry. Let me tell you first what you're going to need for this project. First things first, you're going to need a crochet hook. I'm going to be using this 4mm hook today. You're also going to need some yarn. I'm going to be using this sky blue acrylic. It's about a number 4 weight. This is the Mary Maxim maximum value. It was an 8-ounce ball. I'll let you know in the end how much I use. Isn't that a lovely color? You'll also need some scissors, as well as a yarn needle to weave in your ends and to sew together the sweater. I may also be using some stitch markers. You don't need them, but if you've got them, just put them aside. So gather your supplies and let's jump in. We're going to begin with a slip knot. From here, chain 53. That's going to be 50 initial chain stitches, and then the additional 3 will be our turning chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 49, and 50. And then 3 chains for the turning, 1, 2, and 3. And let me just measure this for you so you know. It should be 12 inches. The 3 extra chains may bring you to a little bit over 12 inches, and that's okay. But if we look and we measure it up, give it a little bit of a stretch, we should have 12 inches at this point. And I am just over the 12, and there's my 3 extra stitches. So this should be 12 inches plus your 3 extra chains. From here, we're going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, and 3. And there's chain number 4, yarn over, insert the hook into that chain stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And from here, I'm just going to double crochet across. So yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm just going to zoom through this first row of double crochets, and I'll meet you at the end of the row to show you what we're going to do next for this cute little baby sweater. Here I am coming up to the end of that first row. I'll just put my last couple of double crochets in here. And then to finish the row, I'm going to do chain 2 and turn. There's 1, there's 2, and turn the work. Next, I'm going to be doing the front post, back post double crochet repeat for my rib stitch. So first a front post double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook down behind the post, coming up just after the post, yarn over and pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a front post double crochet. Next, a back post, yarn over, insert the hook behind the work, up, in front of the post, and then back down to behind the work again so that the post is on the back side of the hook. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a back post double crochet. Then another front post double crochet, and then another back post double crochet. And I'm going to repeat that all the way across. If you've never done the front post, back post double crochet stitch, I'll link a tutorial up here where I go really into detail on how to know where to put your hook and how to do the stitch specifically, so you can master that one before you come back here, because we do this on the hemline, on the cuffs, and on the neckline for this sweater, so you do need to know this stitch. But once you get it, it's pretty simple. So I'm going to zoom through the rest of this second row with my front post, back post, double crochet repeat, and I'll meet you at the end of the row to show you what we're going to do next. Here I am at the end of that second row where we did all the front post, back posts, and I've just finished on a front post double crochet, and then there's a big chain that's left over. That's our turning chain from the beginning. We did our 50 chains and then the extra 3. This right here is that extra 3. In the big space here, I'm going to put 1 additional double crochet. If you look at the beginning of the row, we've got a front post double crochet here, but there's also this edge stitch here. So we want something at the edge beside the front post. If we just turned our work here, we would have this loop and then a front post. So now what we want to do is 1 more double crochet right into that big loop, and then we'll chain 2 and turn. 1, 2, and turn the work. And now you can see how that front post double crochet, back post double crochet creates the rib stitch, which is going to be the edge of the bottom of the sweater. Now for row number 3, we're going to do the exact opposite. So we started row number 2 with a front post double crochet. Row number 3, we're going to start with a back post double crochet. So we'll yarn over, insert the hook behind the work, coming up through the work, and then back down through the work, so that the post is on the back side of the hook, like that. Then we'll yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we'll do a front post. Yarn over, come in front of the work, down through the work, back up. That way the post is on the front of our hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Back post, front post. Yarn over, go behind the work. On the back of the hook is where the post will be. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Front post, yarn over, insert behind the work. The post will be on the front of the hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm just going to repeat that all the way across for row number 3. I'll zoom through the rest and I'll meet you at the end of the row to show you what we're going to do next. Here I am at the end of row number 3, and if you'll believe it, this is the end of our rib stitch for the bottom hemline. Put my last double crochet in there, and now I can show you it is 12 inches. After we do the rib stitch, it kind of tightens it in a little bit, so it is a perfect 12 inches now, which is what we're looking for. And the actual rib stitch height is just a little over 1 inch. It's about 1.25 inches, I would say. And that is just perfect. Now let's jump into the body of the sweater with row number 4. I'm gonna restart my row count at this point because these 3 rows are all rib stitch, and from here we're not gonna be doing the rib stitch anymore. So I'm going to end the row with a chain 1 and turn. And I'm going to restart my row count at this point. Now, at this point, we're going to switch over to the half double crochet. I'm going to do this first row of half double crochets in the large spaces between each of the ribs. So yarn over, insert the hook into the large space between the first 2 ribs, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. Then again, in the next stitch, yarn over, insert the hook into the big space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. And I'm gonna repeat that all the way down this first row to get started on the body portion of this sweater. So I'm just gonna zoom through, and I'll see you when I get to the end of this row. Here I am at the end of that first row of half double crochets. I'll put my last stitch here, and then I'm gonna chain 1 and turn. And we're going to continue in half double crochets here, but we're gonna be putting our stitch in between the large posts of the stitch. So normally we would do yarn over and insert into the top of the stitch up here, and then yarn over and pull through like that. But for this project, we're going to go through underneath the entire stitch here. So yarn over, you can pull your stitches apart and then insert under the entire stitch. Yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. You can just sort of pull the work apart to see. We're gonna go into that large space right here, instead of the top of the stitch up here. And we're just going to be half double crocheting across for this part. We're gonna be half double crocheting across for quite a few rows now. Until we have about 6 or 7 inches of fabric, we're just going to keep half double crocheting across in this exact same way. Half double crochet across underneath the entire stitch, all the way across, chain 1 and turn until we have 6 or 7 inches of fabric. So I'm going to zoom through this part because it's just half double crochets and chain 1 at the end of the row. And I will meet you back here once I've got 6 or 7 inches to show you what that's looking like and what we're going to do to continue shaping this sweater. Here I am coming up to the end of my first section. I've done 20 rows. I'm just finishing off the last stitch on the 20th row, and I want to show you now how that is looking. So because we put our stitches into the entire large space rather than just the top, we get this really nice sort of thick but also like dense looking half double crochet, and the lines are a little bit less textured. Like you can see the lines of the stitches, right? But they're not like sticking out. When we do the top of the stitch, it has a different texture, and I love how thick and dense this one is. It's perfect for like a warm, cozy sweater. So after 20 rows of the half double crochet, my rectangle is just about 7 inches tall now, which is perfect. And now it's time to do our armpit shaping. We're just finished this part here, and now we're going to be working this rectangle. So to do that, let me zoom you back in. At the end of that 20th row, I'm not gonna chain one. I'm just gonna turn the work. And now I'm gonna take my measuring tape and I'm gonna measure out 1 inch from the edge of the work. And then I'll count those stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do 5 just for a little extra room. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into each of those stitches until I get to the 5th stitch. So yarn over, pull the loop through, pull the loop through. Into the next stitch, yarn over, pull the loop through, pull the loop through. 3, 4, and 5. And there is my 1 inch. Now in the 6th stitch, I'm going to start with half double crochets again. So I'll do a half double crochet into the 6th stitch. Now this is where I'm going to take one of my stitch markers and I'm going to go to the other side of the work and count in 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'll just mark that 5th stitch with my stitch marker so I know to stop my row here. This will be my last stitch of the row. Now I'm going to half double crochet across just the same way that I have been, but I'm going to stop at that 2nd stitch marker. And this will be unworked. And if you are a little bit worried you won't notice it on the way back around, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'll mark that 5th stitch so we know this is the end of our row. So we are going to continue with these half double crochet rows between the 2 new points for 14 more rows. So we did 20 rows of the half double crochet, and now we're going to do another 14. So at the end of row number 34, I'm going to meet you back here to show you what we're going to do next for the neck shaping and shoulder shaping of the sweater. At this point, we have a shorter row. Our 50 stitch row, we have 50 stitches in that initial rectangle. It's going down by 10. So we're gonna have 40 stitches in this shorter row. If your gauge is a little bit different than mine, you're gonna wanna go until you have about 4 more inches of fabric. So we did 7 inches to start, and now we're adding an additional 4 inches. For me, that'll be 14 more rows. So I'm gonna zoom through these 14 rows, and I will see you at the end of row number 34 to show you what we're gonna do next. Here I am after 14 rows on that mid-body section, and that should be right around 4 inches from that armpit shape up to the top, and there it is. There's the 4-inch mark, so we're just about at 4 inches for this section, which is perfect. So we started with the bottom section being 7 inches and then an additional 4 inches, so now we are at 11 inches tall. The total height here is supposed to be 13 inches, so we need another 2 inches of height, but in that 2 inches we need to add the neck shaping for our back piece here. This is the back of the sweater. So if you look at my diagram, we're going to be making the little shoulder area 2 inches. That's how big it's going to be at the end. And the neck is going to be 6 inches for that whole center area. We already determined that 1 inch, because we did 1 inch here, is about 5 stitches. So that is a good estimate to say that 2 inches is going to be 10 stitches. So I'm going to count 10 stitches over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's how wide our final shoulder is going to be, and we have to do 2 inches up. if you can just imagine here with me, if our sleeve shoulder here goes 2 inches up and we want it to end at 10 stitches, we also want a little bit of a curve. So we're gonna add an additional 4 stitches, so 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and we're actually going to be doing a row of 14, then a row of 13, then a row of 12, then a row of 11, then a row of 10, and that'll bring us that sort of curved shape for the back of the sweater. So let me show you how we're gonna do it. So right where we finished the rectangle, I'm going to continue with a chain 1 and turn the work, and then I'm going to half double crochet into the first 14 stitches. 1, 2, 13, and 14. Now I'm not gonna chain 1, I'm just gonna turn the work, and then I'm gonna skip that first stitch, and in the second stitch here, I'm gonna do a half double crochet. And that creates the beginning of our taper. And then I'm gonna half double crochet across. And this row is only gonna have 13 stitches in it. At the end of this row, I'm gonna chain 1 and turn. Here I am at the end of the row, put my last half double, chain 1 and turn. Now in this next row, I'm just going to half double crochet into the first 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, and 12. And at the end of this row, I'm not going to chain 1, I'm just going to turn the work, and then I'm going to skip that first half double crochet, and in the second one, I'm going to half double crochet, and then I'll half double crochet across. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, and 11. And then I'll chain 1 and turn. You can see that nice little curve we're creating here. And now in this next row, I'm just going to half double crochet into the next 10 stitches. 1, 2, and 10. And then I'll chain 1 and turn. And we should be tapered to around 2 to 2.5 inches at this point. And now I'm just going to do one last row of half double crochet across. There's 10 stitches here. And at the end of this row, I'm going to just pull my yarn through and I'm going to cut the yarn because we're actually done with this shoulder shaping at this point. And from here, I'm going to actually be doing exactly the same thing to the other side of the top of the garment. So we're going to do the exact same shaping for the other shoulder. I'll zoom through the second shoulder because it's exactly the same thing we did for this one, and I will meet you back here once I've got both of those done. All right, I just finished the second shoulder and it's so cute already. I can already imagine it. Look at that perfectly curved neckline. Love that. So this is the back piece. The neck is a little higher in the back. We're gonna do the exact same thing, but we're gonna stop after 12 rows. So we did 14 rows before we started our neck shaping. For the front, we're going to take 2 rows out of that equation. So we're gonna go the exact same rib stitch, the exact same 7 inches, or what was it, 20? I think we did 20 rows, and then an additional 12 rows instead of 14. So I'm gonna zoom through all of that and I'll meet you back here once I hit that 12 row area so that we can do the front collar, and we'll be well on our way to being halfway done this sweater. Oh, I can already imagine it's gonna be so cute. Okay, so I have good news and bad news. Good news, I have other yarn that I can use. Bad news, it's not the same color. So I'm going to pull from my back piece that we finished. We did the back piece already, and I still have to do the instructions for the front piece. So I'm gonna pull this back piece back about probably until this armpit area so that I can get the front piece done up to the armpit area. That's my hope. All right, so I've redone I did the exact same number of stitches and the exact same measurements, but I pulled out the yarn and redid it in gray because I ran out of blue. And now it's time for us to do the front body piece. The back, we start to do our decreases for those shoulder shapes after 4 inches of straight across rows. So that ends up being 14 rows. For the front, we're going to be doing 3 inches, which ends up being 10 rows. So I've already done my 10 rows here. And now we're going to get into the actual curve portion of the shoulder shaping. So let me zoom you in and let's get to it. So if you'll remember, for the back piece, we counted in 14 stitches to start off where we do our decreases. For the front piece, we're gonna add an additional 3, so we're gonna do 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then I'll just mark the stitch after 17 because I want to include that one. So that's how far we're coming in one side, and then I'll count in the other side the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then I'll just grab a stitch marker and I'll mark the one after that so that I know where our decrease. So the front, you can see the low point is much shorter. So this low point is going to be where we taper that neck out from. So I'm going to start now using the gray yarn, and I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And for the shoulder shaping, I'm going to start by half double crocheting to the stitch marker into the first 17 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 17. And that brings us up to our stitch marker. And just like in the back side, I'm not going to chain 1, I'm just going to turn the work at this point. And then I'm going to skip the first stitch of this row, and I'm gonna half double crochet in the second stitch of the row. And this will shorten that row down to 16 stitches. So there was 1, 2, 3, 15, and 16. And then at the end of this row, I'll chain 1 and turn. And then in this next row, I'm just going to crochet into the first 15 stitches. So there's 16 stitches in the row, but I'm gonna leave the last one unworked. So 1, 2, 3, 14, and 15. And you can see there's still one more stitch left in the row here, but we're leaving that one. So we've got 15 stitches in the row now. I'm gonna turn the work, no chain stitch, and then I'm gonna skip the first stitch of the row and then half double crochet in the second stitch and half double crochet across. And that should bring us to 14 stitches. 12, 13, and 14. And then we'll chain 1 and turn. And now we're gonna crochet across this next row for 12 stitches. And it'll go 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, and now 12. 1, 2, 3, and 13. And then we won't chain 1, we'll skip the first stitch, and then we will half double crochet across, leaving us with 12 stitches in this row. There's 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, and 12. And we're almost done our decreases. We're gonna chain 1 and turn at the end of this one, and then we're going to half double crochet into the next 11 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 10, and 11. And you can see there's still 1 stitch in the row, but we're leaving that last stitch unworked. 11. We're not going to chain 1, we're just going to turn, and then we're going to half double crochet in the second chain from the hook and half double crochet across. And this is our second last row, or third last row. This is going to have 10 stitches in it. So there's 1, 2, 9, and 10, and then I'll chain 1. So it's the exact same decrease we did for the back side. We just start at a farther in point. So we have more stitches for a decrease and more height of decrease. So there, we've made it to 10 stitches in the row. Now I'm gonna do 2 more rows with 10 stitches in each row. So no more decreases, I'm just gonna do 2 more rows to finish off the front piece of the sweater. So I'll zoom through these last 2 rows because there's no decrease in them, just 10 stitches across, and I'll see you once I finish the side. All right, I'm at my last stitch on my last row for that shoulder shaping, and I'm just going to cut a little tail on that, yarn over, pull it through, and there is 1/2 of the front neckline. Let me show you next to the back neckline so you can see how much lower it is. Oh, it's a little hard to see, but here's the front neckline. So the back neckline is here, and then we have the front neckline coming here because the front of the sweater is lower than the back. And now I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the other side, and I'll meet you back here to show you what it's looking like after I finish the other side. All right, so I've finished the front now, both sides. Now let's get started on the sleeve. The sleeve is going to be worked in 3 sections. We're going to have first our ribbed stitch section, then we're going to have a section with increases, and then we're going to have a straight rectangle section. They're all worked as one piece, but there's going to be 3 different sections to make the sleeve. The cuff is going to be 8 inches, and then we're going to do increased stitches until we get up to 10 inches, and then until we get up to 12 inches. So it'll go 8, 10, 12, and then we'll keep going until the entire length of this sleeve is about 11 inches total. So let's jump into it. We'll start again with a slip knot here. Then I'm going to chain 33. 1, 2, 3, 30. 31, 32, 33. Now in the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm going to put a double crochet into that chain. And then I'm going to double crochet across. 1 double crochet in each chain stitch all the way across. I'll zoom through this row and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Here I am at the end of the row. I'm gonna do my last couple of double crochets here, and this row has 30 double crochets in it. That chain 3 that we skipped the first chain 3, that is what makes up our first one, and then we've got 30 total there. So there is our first row of double crochets. Now for the sleeve, for row number 2, I'll start with a chain of 2 and turn, and now I'm going to do a row of front post double crochets, back post double crochets, repeated. So I'm going to do front post double crochet, then back post double crochet, then front post, then back post, and I'm going to repeat that all the way across. This is the exact same thing we did for the body hemline. And then after this, I am going to do the reverse for the next row. So row number 2 is front post, back post, front post, back post, and row number 3 is back post, front post, back post, front post, and I'm going to repeat that. So I'm going to just copy the exact same repeat for rows 1, 2, and 3 that I did for the hemline. I'm not going to redo those instructions. It's exactly the same as what we did for the hemline. So I'm going to zoom through this part, and I'll meet you once I'm finished this rib stitch cuff to show you what we're going to do next to work up the sleeve. Here I am at the end of that 3rd row. We did 1 row of double crochets, 1 row with front post, back post, and I just finished my 3rd row, which was back post, front post. I'm going to finish and chain 1 and turn. There is my little cuff, so cute. So it's about 1 inch tall at this point and about 8 inches long. So now we are going to get into the body portion of the sleeve. We're gonna start with an increase at the beginning of the sleeve and at the end of the sleeve. So in the first stitch and last stitch of this row, I'm gonna put 2 half double crochets. So again, in this first row, I'm going to be putting them in the space here, these large spaces between those posts. So in the first stitch, I'll put 2 half double crochets. There's 1, there's 2, just like that. And then I'm going to work across the row with 1 half double crochet in each stitch across, but I'll meet you at the end of the row to show you how I finish off the row. Here I am coming up to the end of that first half double crochet row. I'm going to restart my count here, and this first half double crochet row, we're going to call that row number 1, just because it's row 1 of the body of the sleeve. We're going to call the cuff rows 1 to 3 and then start the count again here at row 1. So at the end of row number 1, I'll put 2 half double crochets in the last stitch of the row, and then I'll chain 1 and turn. And now because we put 2 in the front and 2 in the back, we end up increasing the number of stitches in this row. Now for the next 3 rows, so rows number 2, 3, and 4, we're just going to put 1 half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. Again though, I'm putting it in the space under each of the stitches instead of just in the top. We're going to put it through the entire stitch in this space. But for the next 3 rows, I'll just put 1 half double crochet in each stitch across. So I'm going to zoom through these 3 rows, and I'll see you at the end of row number 4 to show you what we're gonna do next. Here I am at the end of row number 4. We had our increase and then 3 regular rows of half double crochet. I'm just going to put my last half double crochet stitch into the last stitch of row number 4. And now for row number 5, I'm going to do another increase row. So in the first stitch and the last stitch of the row, I'm going to put 2 half double crochets. There's 1 and there's 2, just like that. And then I'll put 2 in the last stitch of the row. Otherwise, I'm going to half double crochet across. I'll meet you at the end of row number 5 to show you what we're gonna do next. Here I am at the end of row number 5, so I'm gonna finish with this last stitch. I'll put 2 half double crochets in the last stitch. And again, because we put 2 in the first stitch and 2 in the last stitch, we are increasing the length of the row at this point. And now for rows number 6, 7, and 8, I'm just going to half double crochet 1 time in each stitch across. And from this point, I'm going to repeat that same increase pattern until I get to row number 17. So row number 5 was an increase, 6, 7, and 8 are regular rows, 9 is an increase, 10, 11, and 12 are regular rows, 13 is an increase, 14, 15, 16 are regular rows, and row number 17 is our increase, our final increase for the sleeve. So I will meet you at the end of row number 17 to show you what it's looking like, give you some measurements, and tell you how we are going to continue working up this sleeve. All right, I'm just finishing row number 17 now, and at this point our sleeve has increased to 12 inches, and the full length so far of the sleeve is 6 inches long, the body portion being 5 inches, and then the cuff being another inch. Now we need to go an additional 5 inches just across with no more increases. So that should be right around 17 more rows because it was 17 rows to do these 5 inches. It should be another 17 rows to do the next 5 inches, but just make sure the total length of your sleeve is 11 inches long. So I'm going to zoom through this next part because there's no more increases here. The 17th row is our last increase. And now for rows 18 all the way up until my sleeve is 11 inches long total, I am going to just half double crochet across with no more increases. So like I said, I'll zoom through those rows and I'll meet you back here for a final measurement and to tell you how many rows I ended up with. So I'm feeling a little bit stressed now because I have a row and a half left to do and I am about to lose at Yarn Chicken and I don't know exactly what I'll do. I think I might have to just pull back my other sleeve by 1 row. That's so frustrating. Okay, let's see where I'm at measuring. It's supposed to be 11 inches total. Let's see. Oh, I really do need that extra bit of yarn. All right, so I've finished the front now, both sides. I've finished the sleeves, redoing them with the gray, and the back, redoing it with the gray. So now the instructions, like I said, the instructions are the same. I just switched colors and had to pull back a little bit. Now it's time to put this thing together. So what we're going to be doing to put this together, made a little diagram. We're going to be lying the top or the front and the back lengthwise on top. We're going to sew the shoulders together. And then after that's done, we're going to place the sleeves in the opening left by the armpit shaping on the body pieces. And then we'll stitch those in. After that, we'll fold the garment in half like this and see it'll look like a sweater. Then we'll sew the side seams down and the arm seams down on both sides. So let's do that now. All right, so I've got this extra long tail that I left for at the beginning on the shoulder seam. I'm gonna pull that long tail apart and I'm gonna use that as my working yarn to put together the shoulders. I'm gonna be putting the shoulder seam together with a single crochet because this is gonna be the area that gets the most tug on it. The shoulder seams are sort of the most used seam in a sweater. So it's the seam, other than the cuff, it's the seam that gets the most wear. So we wanna add a little bit of extra strength there by doing a single crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch on the front piece of fabric and then into the first stitch on the back piece of fabric, just like that. And then I'll take the tail and then I'll yarn over and pull it through just like that. Then I'm going to chain 1, pull that chain down really tight so that I know that's secure. And then I'm going to go in the same stitch again and do a single crochet as my first stitch of this row. Then I'll go into the second stitch on both pieces, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops, a single crochet. Into the next stitch and the next stitch, single crochet. And I'm gonna single crochet all the way down, 1 time in each stitch, through both pieces of fabric to join the seam at the shoulders. And because I left that long tail, I'm already attached at the beginning there. Go, coming up to the end of the row, and I'm at my last stitch now. So I'll put my hook in to the last stitch on both pieces, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops, and then I'll yarn over one additional time and pull through all of that. And I'm gonna weave in this tail. And there's the seam, the single crochet. And then on the other side, you can see the seam just shows up as little lines down the row. Ta-da! All right, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. All right, so now the shoulders are together. You can see the actual neck shape at this point. Now we're gonna put in the sleeves. So we're gonna turn the sweater 90 degrees. Doesn't matter which way. We're gonna be just working in this empty space here. And we're gonna grab the first sleeve and we're gonna put it into that empty space. And it should fit pretty much perfectly in there. What are you guys talking about? Now I'm going to use some stitch markers to connect the sleeve at the corners and at this center point so that I know what I'm working with, and then we are going to stitch along this open seam here. For this next part, I am going to use just gray thread or gray yarn, and I'm going to double it up so that it's a little bit stronger than if I just used the one strand. I'm going to grab a really nice long piece, probably like 4 feet. I don't know if I'll need all of that. Usually I do about 5 feet for an adult size. So let's say about 3.5 feet, which means actually about 6 feet because I'm folding it in half. There we go. And then I thread up my yarn needle. And now I'm going to blanket stitch, starting here up to the corner, across to the next corner and down. I'll zoom you in so I can show you how I do it. So I'll start by connecting the work together at this point, and I'll just tie a little knot. This is gonna be crocheted over anyway, so I'm not super concerned about like the strength of this part, this knot specifically. So I'll just do a little knot like that just to keep my yarn in place. And now I'm gonna insert my needle down through the first stitch on the body piece and through the first row that I've matched up. So I counted down 5 rows because there's 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm gonna connect at that 5th row by inserting my needle down through both pieces, and then I'll pull that, and I'm not gonna pull it all the way closed. What I'll do is I'll pull it until it's almost closed. You can see there's a little loop left over. I'll put the needle back down through that loop, and then I'll pull it nice and tight. That's a blanket stitch. Nice and tight, just like that. And then again, into the next stitch, I'll put my needle down into the stitch there, and then into the side of the row, pulling that through until there's just a loop left. And then I'll put the needle back down through that loop, pulling the stitch closed. And that's what a blanket stitch looks like. Let me show you one more time here. I'll go into the next stitch, into the next row, pull it through. There's a loop here left. Put the needle back down through that loop and pull it tightly closed. There we go. Now we have 3 blanket stitches. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around the first sleeve. Just gonna do one at a time, take my time, make sure that the stitches are around the same tension. They don't have to be super tight or super loose. You just wanna make sure it's nice and even tension all the way around. So you can see my stitches are around the same size, and we wanna keep that tension nice and even. And now I'm at the corner. So I'm gonna zoom through the rest of this sleeve because it's the exact same stitch. If you want a little extra tutorial on how to do this blanket stitch, I will include that. You could check up in the corner now, and I'll also link it in the description box down below, and that will go into a little bit more detail, and I'll go through this stitch a little bit more slowly so that if you are new to putting crocheted garments together, you'll have a little bit more information to go off of. I'll zoom through this and I'll meet you when the sleeve is attached. All right, I've stitched down the first sleeve. Oh, it fits so perfectly. I'm very pleased with that. From the other side, this is what the seam looks like. It's a nice clean seam. And then from the inside, this is what the seam looks like. Now I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the other side. All right, both sleeves are now sewn on. We are so close to being done. This is my favorite part of putting together a sweater. If you grab the shoulder seams at this point and fold the garment, you can see how it's gonna look when it's finished. Oh, look how cute it is. Little baby sweater. Well, 2-year-old sweater, but still. Now let's do up the arm seams and then the side seams on both sides. After that, all we're gonna have left to do is the collar, and then we're gonna be done. So let's start with the cuff. So the sweater is now folded in half. This part is gonna be crocheted, not sewn. I'm gonna insert my crochet hook into the top chain here of the first double crochet on the front side, and then the top of the second double crochet or the first double crochet on the other side, just like this. Then I did run out of my blue yarn, but I have another bluish yarn and it should be just fine. So I'm going to start crocheting this seam together. So I'm gonna yarn over with the hook and pull it through that stitch. Then I'll drop my tail, I'll do a chain 1, and then in the same spot that I just had that chain 1 come out of, I'll do a single crochet. Then into the big space, the big side of the first double crochet, I will do a single crochet to join, and then moving down into the next stitch, single crochet to join, and then the next one, single crochet to join. And that is it for the cuff. And now we're moving on to the body of the sleeve. So I'll insert into the first stitch on both sides. This will be a little easier because the double crochets are a little wide, but now we're at half double crochets. Again, I'm going to just crochet this seam together 1 stitch at a time. I'll put it into the first side, open it up, make sure that it's even, put it into the back side, and complete a single crochet. Into the next stitch on both sides, complete a single crochet. And I'm gonna repeat that all the way until I get up to the armpit here. All right, I've made it up to that armpit area of the sweater. So I'm gonna put my last single crochet on the underside of the arm seam. And now I'm at the actual armpit. So I'm going to just insert the hook into, as best I can, into that the middle stitch here. It's gonna be snug because it's where my seam starts, but I wanna try and get it right into that corner stitch. So I'm just gonna wiggle my hook to get it in. There we go. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. It'll be snug, but that's okay. And then I'll just do 1 single crochet in that corner stitch. Oh, I'm gonna try. I'll just do 1 single crochet into that corner stitch, and then I'm gonna turn the garment 90 degrees so that I can start crocheting down the other side, down the actual side seam of the work. And then I'll just go ahead and grab the first side stitch and do a single crochet, turn my work, and now we're done with the sleeve, and I'm gonna do the same thing, single crochet down the side seam. All right, now that I've made it down to the bottom of the side seam, I'm gonna chain 1 and turn around, and then I'm gonna go back over this entire seam with slip stitches. So I'm just gonna slip stitch up this side seam. So I'm gonna insert the hook, yarn over, pull it through, and pull it through with no single crochet, just a slip stitch, and then insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull it through, into the next, pull it through. This is just gonna make it have a nice finished look to the side seam, because since I'm using a little bit of a thinner yarn, I wanna have like a little detail here for the side seam, and that detail is going to be this slip stitch. So I'm gonna zoom through this slip stitch, which is just gonna go all the way back to the cuff, and then I will meet you back here to show you what that looks like. All right, I did the whole first seam and the first slip knot row after, or slip stitch row. It looks amazing, nice and clean seam. Now I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the other side, and I'll meet you back here after I stitch this second side together. All right, both seams are now done and you can see the shape of this sweater. How cute is this thing? All right, now I'm gonna put it right side out so that the seams are on the inside so that we can do the collar. How cute. I kind of love the gray. Originally, the plan was to have this be just an entirely blue sweater. And now seeing it with the gray, I think it's so cute, like a little ocean vibe, like a gray sky. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so cute. Okay, so now we're gonna do the collar portion of the project. And this part is fairly easy. We're gonna be doing the front post, back post, double crochet around this edge here. And I'm going to do it with, I think I'll do it with the gray. I think I have enough. I hope I have enough of the gray to do it with. But we'll do it with the gray and this white, gray and white or gray and blue? Maybe we go with the blue. Gray and blue collar? Yeah. So with the gray and the blue put together again, I'm gonna grab my crochet hook and I'm gonna connect my yarn on the back side of the collar here, just after the shoulder, right here. And I'm gonna connect by inserting my hook here and then yarning over, pulling a loop up, and then I'll drop my tail, I'll chain one, and then I'll half double crochet into that same spot that I just had the chain one come out of. And from here, let me zoom you in. From here, I'm gonna start with one round of half double crochets. I'm gonna put a half double crochet every available spot to put one. So I'm gonna put them in each of the first stitch of each row on these decrease rows here all the way down, just like this. And then once I get to the bottom of this decrease and I'm at the actual back of the sweater, I'll just do one half double crochet stitch in each stitch across. So one half double crochet in each available space to put it all the way around. And once I get back to the beginning of my round, I'll show you what we're gonna do next to get into those front post, back post double crochets. All right, I've finished my first round here with my half double crochets. I'm going to join the round to that first stitch with a slip stitch. And then I'm gonna switch into double crochets now. So I'm gonna do a chain two, and then I'm gonna double crochet all the way around the same round again, because from here, we're going to be doing the front post, back post double crochets. And the first part of a front post, back post double crochet is the double crochet round. So I'm just gonna double crochet around, and I'll meet you at the end of this round to show you how I'm going to move into the front post, back post double crochet. All right, I've finished my first round of double crochets here. I'm gonna join my round with a slip stitch, chain two, and then I'm going to start the next round with my front post, back post double crochets. So I'm gonna yarn over, insert behind the post of the double crochet, and then complete a double crochet. Yarn over, insert up through the back, then down through the front to pull the post backward for a back post double crochet, and then the front post double crochet, and then a back post double crochet. And I'm gonna repeat that all the way around. I'll see you at the end of the round to show you what we'll do next. I'm coming up to the end of my front post, back post double crochet round, and I was planning on doing 3 rounds like this, but I think I'm just gonna leave it at the 1 because I don't want the collar to be too tight. I want it to have a nice amount of give for the little one who's going to be wearing it. So I'll finish my round just like this, and then I'm going to join my round with a slip stitch, and I'm going to cut my yarn here and weave in this end. Pull that through. See what I mean? I don't want it to get too much tighter than that. So let me weave in this end and then let's talk about it. Oh, look at this freaking sweater. How cute is this? Ta-da, it's finished. This 2T sweater is the cutest thing I've ever made. I cannot wait to see it on the toddler that it is made for. How freaking cute is this? With the gray top and the blue bottom, I think this is gonna look so cute. It's obviously bulky. It's gonna be a nice warm sweater. You can really tell it's quite dense. I think this was actually such an easy project. This took me 2 days to complete. I didn't sit for the whole 2 days, obviously, but I think probably 10 hours is about how much time this will take to create, and it's so simple. It's got the crew neck, which is perfect, lots of room for a giant toddler head to get through. The rib stitch around the cuff, the hemline, and the collar make it look totally finished and adorable. I love the colors. I think the gray was a really good choice. Oh gosh, I love it. I think I'm gonna make another now. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. But what do you think? Do you love this sweater as much as I do? Let me zoom you in so I can show you that collar. We can see the rib stitch on that collar. And then I want you to see these seams and how they turned out. They're like virtually invisible. This is the shoulder seam right here between my fingers. And then we've got the seam on the underside of the arm. Once blocked, it won't have that pucker, but it's got that little bit of a pucker right now. Same thing with the side seam. Once I block it out, it'll block flat. But that's what it looks like from the outside. You can see the little lines that make up the stitches. And then from the inside, it is a nice single crochet and then a slip stitch to cover it. Wow, this turned out amazing. And because we did the half double crochets through the entire stitch, not just the top, we get this really beautiful dense texture. I am a huge fan of this sweater. Oh, if you have a toddler in your life, this is the perfect size for a toddler. That's it. Here's the toddler sweater. The very cute, very simple, adorable toddler sweater. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you choose to make one as well if you've got a toddler in your life. This is 2T sized. I think this would fit a 3-year-old too. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you to everyone who's supporting the channel this month. You guys are awesome. Here is the list of channel supporters for the month. Thank you so much. If you would like to join and become a channel supporter, also check the links in the description box down below. All the ways to support will be listed there. Patreon, YouTube memberships, my Etsy, all those things. So check those out. Also, if you liked this video, click the thumbs up button. It really does help the channel grow, and we are on our way to 100,000 subscribers, so I would really appreciate the like. And if you're new, subscribe. I put out new videos every single Tuesday, and I live stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. So check that out, and I'll see you next week. Bye!